Welcome to this installment of BSO Backstage, a concert preview. I'm your host, Ezra Duncan, and I'm joined with Music Director Dan Allcott and Executive Director Aaron Vickers. Welcome.
Nice to be back. Good to be here in Sweet Sally's on a cold winter day.
Oh yes, there's snow on the ground, so nothing says winter like some
coffee.
But yeah, the last concert, the Symphony Fantastique, was just that, fantastic.
Was it fantastic?
So tell us a little bit about how that show was for everyone.
Well, it was such an exciting environment because, we had Los Angeles mural artist Joseph Beal come and create this fantastic mural in the lobby that was themed on Berlioz and Berlioz's obsession with the actress Harriet Smithson, which is the basic idea of the whole piece. And then Joe provided us some images that we also projected during the concert. And I think it really added to this piece, which is supposed to have this very fantasy-like atmosphere to it. So, and we also, of course, then followed up the next day with about 800 fourth graders from the Putnam County schools enjoying parts of the Symphony Fantastique, but also some music demonstrating how an orchestra works, and talking about the instruments. And then we played music from Telemann's Don Quixote suite, which they really, really liked. And so that was a really fun, that's
Absolutely.
one of the most fun parts of our year. I'm
Absolutely.
sure logistically exciting for you too, Aaron.
Oh, absolutely. It was definitely one of the more involved planning processes that we've had so far this year, but it was also really rewarding to see, not only with the concert and with the education concert, but we also had a symphony social last month. We were able to do that at Tennessee Tech in the Bryan Fine Arts Building. Got to hear some more from Joe Beal and see the mural. And, just a huge thank you to our sponsors from last month, the Luna and Heron Investment Group, who are great friends of the symphony, and also the Pontes, who have just been fantastic friends for a long time. Without them, we couldn't do the things that we did, and it was a very involved month.
And we also
a very
partnered
exciting
with
month.
Art Prowl, too.
Absolutely.
Which was fun, so that during Art Prowl, a lot of people, in fact, I was in the lobby at noon on Friday, and as soon as the Prowl started, people started coming in. It was great because they could see Joe working on the mural, and a lot of people asking him questions. And as well as they opened up the Tennessee Tech Painting Studio, so students of Ben Odie were in there working, and people could come in and see, a lot of people have never been in a painting studio before to see how that's working. So that was, it was just really a really fun concert with a lot of different aspects to it. And it's fun to be able to partner with, these great people in the community. And also, we have to thank our volunteers who help us with the education concert, because there's so much, the logistics of getting 400 kids in and out of an auditorium, for a concert, it's a special occasion.
And then immediately doing it again.
Right, and then doing it again right away. So thanks to our volunteers who helped us do that. It's really a lot of fun. One of the best things from the education concert is I usually get some thank you letters from students who have attended the concert. And a lot of them say, my favorite instrument was, this, or some said, you did a good job conducting the orchestra, which always makes me feel good. And then, but this time we did the scene from Symphony Fantastique where I talked to them about the guillotine, chop, which happens in the music, and they loved that. I love the part where you can hear the head rolling down the. So I feel like we did our educational best in that concert.
I would say so.
We really brought it. So
has there been any? I guess students that have participated in the education concert in the past, have you ever heard from them later on, maybe in their music careers?
Well, and I also hear from, kids who sometimes it'll be like maybe a friend of my daughter's or something who's older than that age right now, or I'll meet someone and say, are you the guy that did the education concert, for the Bryan Symphony? And they remember it and it sticks in their mind. Or I'll have somebody's parent come to me and say, my son or daughter really enjoyed the education concert. He didn't think he was going to, and then, they say, oh, we're going to the orchestra. I don't even, and then they come home and they were just blown away, because it is such an impressive thing to somebody who hasn't seen a live symphony orchestra. So I think it's important to, to keep doing this. It's one of the most important things we do, is exposing kids to the idea that, there are those of us in this community who find, music making to be one, satisfying to do as a profession, but also people come and listen, and it's a part of our lives. So, this is a big deal, especially on this concert, I think, to talk about what I talk about frequently, which is that talent knows no geography, and that it's about opportunity, really. And so, I had an opportunity at a young age, people in our orchestra, these people are from all over the place. And now we're going to have a soloist on our concert who won the Derryberry Concerto competition, Alex Wilborn, and he's from Baxter, Tennessee. He's a fantastic trumpet player. He had an opportunity. He learned how to play trumpet in his school, and then he met Charles Decker, who's our trumpet professor and the principal trumpet player in the Bryan Symphony, and was given the information he needed to let that talent really go. And Alex is just an amazing talent, and so that's a great thing, to discover.
I caught his performance. I believe he had a solo at the university, the students' jazz band performance a couple months ago, and just really was blown away. And then, of course, to find out that he won the Derryberry Award.
It was not I'll tell you, it was not a surprise to me that Alex won the Derryberry competition this year. He's a sophomore, and he's very talented, but he's a hard worker, and he's a great listener of music. He likes all kinds of music, and he and I, we were on Facebook together, and he was going through a list of old jazz trumpet players. He's like, so-and-so, and then he, kind of put a question out there, this one or that one? And I was like, oh no, you have to go back and listen to Bix Beiderbecke now. And so I don't know if he knew who Bix Beiderbecke was, but he's a famous cornet player from like 1920s, and he went back and listened to him. He's soaking it up, and that's such a fun part of being a student. Is to have that opportunity. So. And
him being a sophomore, is that a rarity, or does that happen normally, where you can get someone from?
It varies really. We actually a couple years ago we had a freshman pianist win. I'll tell you a little bit of a secret, that sometimes the underclassmen have a little bit more time to practice than the upperclassmen, because the coursework gets very hard, and if you're student teaching or moving toward your education, if you're in a music education degree, it's actually quite busy. But it just varies. It depends. Every year it's kind of, we never know what's going to happen, and it's all apples and oranges. You have trumpet players and pianists and oboe players, and it's fun. And the jury comes in and they have to somehow decide. I know for a fact that the jury this time, Alex happened to be last. We do a blind drawing of numbers, and so it's okay. You're first, and you're last. And then I knew the jury. They said, "Wow, we really thought we were going to have to fight it out at the end." And then Alex came in, and we all just said, "Oh, that was easy."
It's like, well, no-brainer.
It was good for me. We all get to go home, as soon as it was over, and it's nice because they gave some honorable mention to some other students, because they really. That's a great thing. I bring people in from across the state to be the jury. We have an outside jury.
Oh, good.
Yes, oh, good is right. And then, and they come in, and the great thing is they're always impressed with the quality of students at Tennessee Tech, and so that's fantastic for us to show off a little bit.
How many students typically audition or go out for this concerto?
It's around 10 to 12, and each studio professor gets to enter one student. So, like, there's one trumpet, one tuba, one trombone, if they have, somebody who's ready at that time. So it's usually around 10 or 12 that audition. So it's a long afternoon. It's usually a 3.5-hour competition, and it's open. People come in and can listen and watch the competition. So.
And it's mainly for tech students.
It is only for tech music majors.
Give us a little bit of a brief history behind the Derryberry Concerto Award.
It's named, it's called the Joan Derryberry Memorial Concerto Competition, and it's named after the former First Lady of Tennessee Tech, Joan Derryberry, and who did so much for music and art in this community and at the university. And at a young age, she actually, when she was studying piano in England, had the opportunity to be a soloist. At the last minute, somebody had gotten sick or canceled, and her teacher said, oh, she can play this concerto. And so it was such a wonderful experience for her, and it's something that young people don't get to do that often. So having a competition so that somebody can be featured every year is a great way to focus on what we do in our department, which is teach music to young people. And so it's great. Every year it's fun. We have something different. I've had all kinds of soloists since I've been here, so it's really fun way to kind of focus on what we do well.
Okay. And this is something that's been sponsored by, and continuing the tradition, it's sponsored by Walter. He helps.
There's actually there's an endowment at the university to cover some of the costs and the award. There's also a cash award the students get as a part of the prize, but the big prize is playing with a professional symphony orchestra on a major solo piece.
Right. Cool. Walter is helping sponsor the concert at large, the rest of the symphony. The prize itself is paid for from the endowment. But we have, of course, the help of Walter Derryberry and also Charles and Lori Sewell are helping out this month to ensure that we can cover the cost of the entire symphony, not just our prize winner, and put together a great show.
And where would we be without our great supporters of art in this community?
We would not be here on TV.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll take a break, and we're going to meet Alex and get a little behind the scenes of this great, talented student.
All right, I'm happy to be here with Alex Wilborn. Alex is the winner of the Joan Derryberry Memorial Concerto Competition at Tennessee Tech this year and will be performing as soloist on the February Bryan Symphony Concert. Alex, congratulations.
Thank you.
We want to know a little bit more about you, so tell us where you're from.
Well, I'm actually a native of here. I went to Upperman High School. So I grew up down there, and I've been in Cookeville a lot. I've been around Tech since, I was in 8th grade. So
You've been studying with Mr. Decker since then?
Yeah, since the end of my 7th grade year.
Oh, fantastic. That's one of the things that's fun for us as professors. We don't have a lot of time to teach students outside of the university community, but sometimes when we meet somebody who's especially talented or that we feel will work hard, it's actually really fun for us. And I know that Mr. Decker has been kind of guiding you for a while. In fact, several years ago, he came to the Bryan Symphony Board and he said, is there any way we can help Alex Wilborn? He wants to go to Interlaken one summer or to do something above and beyond just even going to the music camp at Tech. So you did go to Interlaken, did you not?
I did.
Oh, yeah, you've got your Interlaken sweater on. And what year was that?
That was the summer after my senior year of high school, so 2012.
Yeah. And Interlaken is the premier music and arts academy for high school students in the United States. So how many weeks were you at Interlaken?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. And tell me, what was the best thing about that experience?
I would say the rep. We played a few orchestra transcriptions. We played at Pines of Rome.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's a great brass part.
Oh, yeah.
Of course you would love that.
It was fun.
And so tell us, are you excited about, of course you are, but tell us about the excitement about playing with the Bryan Symphony Orchestra, and what are you looking forward to? Do you have any special preparation you're doing for that?
Well, I'm just trying not to overthink it,
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people that I've seen, they kind of like drill the music in nonstop, and I have found that I can't do that because I feel like I get too burnt out on it. It's definitely the first time I've ever performed with an orchestra. I performed with the band my senior year in high school, so it'll be nice to be in front of an orchestra.
Yeah, it'll be a different thing. And you have a special achievement that you did while you were in high school. You were in all-state ensembles. Which ensembles were you in?
My sophomore year, I was in the all-state band. My junior
year. Were
you
principal of all three?
Yes.
Okay, so you're principal of the all-state band your sophomore year.
Yep. Leading the all-state jazz band my junior year, and
jazz band, right?
And principal in the orchestra my senior year.
Principal in the orchestra. Has anybody in Tennessee ever done that before?
Actually, one of my closest friends, who's now a trombone major at UTK, he did it at the same time, except our sophomore and junior years, we swapped. But our
so
senior
you were
year,
in the same ensemble.
Yeah, except senior year.
Oh,
we were in orchestra together senior year.
It's quite an achievement, especially to get first chair in the band as a sophomore. So we're really proud of you. One of the things that I like to talk about is that geography does not inhibit talent. Talent knows no geographic bounds. So
absolutely.
We're especially proud. We're always proud to have a student from Tech as a soloist, but especially proud that somebody from Baxter is the winner of the Joan Derryberry Memorial Concerto Competition. Good luck, and we look forward to the concert.
Thank you.
Wow, what a pleasure meeting Alex. Dan, what is he going to perform at the concert?
Alex is playing a very famous concerto by a guy named Alexander Aratunian. Aratunian was a Soviet composer. He's actually from Armenia. And this concerto was introduced in the United States in the middle part of the century, and it's become a hit. It's what students play for their audition for graduate school. I mean, everybody wants to play it because it has a nice combination of really fast tonguing work and also some big soaring melodies. So it really shows off the trumpet in a really fun way. It's fun to play, and it's also great fun to listen to.
How does one go about choosing which song they're going to do in this concert?
My students always think they get to choose their repertoire, and they come to me with ideas, so I want to play this, and I say, great, here's the piece you're going to work on. In reality, teachers choose repertoire for their students and with their students. A lot of times students, I'm sure Alex, came to Mr. Decker at some point and said, I really want to play the Aratunian concerto. And if I know Charlie Decker, he said, fine, do these 10 things first. We just try and teach them a broad spectrum of music And it's great because we're really choosing from about 400 years worth of music that's been written and still being written. This piece was written in 1950, so it's a 20th century concerto. And at that point, the trumpet technique was developed quite a bit. Sometimes we hear a trumpet concerto by Haydn or whatever. At that point, they didn't even have valves on the trumpet, so it's all working with your lips in very high partials and stuff. So it's fun to hear all the different things.
And then also part of doing their own solo performance, they're also performing with the orchestra. So the Mystery Mozart. We now know what song they're going to play.
Well, what happened was that I kind of have to leave this concert a little bit unprogrammed because I don't know until the competition how much time I have left or what's going to sound appropriate. So when we had a trumpet concerto that was the winner, I chose one of Mozart's symphonies that is what we call the trumpets and drums symphonies. Later in his life, when Mozart, this is his first symphony, premiered basically in Vienna, in a big city. This symphony has trumpets and drums and clarinets and flutes, and it's a full orchestra. It's one of his big mature symphonies, and it's very fanfare-like. So I thought, oh, that'll sound good. You have to have a little bit of the same ear framework. And it's Mozart Symphony Number 35 in D major. And then the rest of the concert involves music by Richard Wagner. This year, 13-14 is the anniversary year. We have different years in symphony language because we have a season that's the year. But 2013 was the 200th anniversary of the birth of both Richard Wagner and Giuseppe Verdi. So we've wanted to perform music by them this year. So we're doing several pieces by Wagner. Wagner is a very controversial person in classical music because it's pretty well known that he was anti-Semitic. He was a bore. He had an unbelievable level of confidence. I mean, it's really amazing.
Something that we don't see nowadays.
Well, yeah, right. Like we've never seen it. But I mean, it's really interesting. He's a person you can't, really necessarily admire. But he was a great composer, and part of his singularity of vision, which you can say made him a bore, also made him a great composer. And the two excerpts that we're doing are actually outside of his main cycle of works. One of them is from his early opera called Rienzi. Rienzi was actually, and these are both historical figures. Rienzi, Cola di Rienzi was the last tribune of Rome, and he actually went down in flames, literally. He was basically traduced by all of his political friends and the church, who he had been kind of working with to put down an uprising, and they basically lit the place on fire, and he and his friends went down with it. Anyway, it's a great little overture, but it's in a very early style of Wagner. And so then we're performing excerpts from the third act of Meistersingers, and it's great music because, first of all, you have this kind of affectionate look at the very stylistic and proud way that these people presented themselves. They were a guild of artists and musicians, and many of them were leaders in their own field. My favorite character is that of Hans Sachs, who was actually a master cobbler as well as a Meistersinger. And so it's kind of like the Cookville Mastersingers. You have all these people who come in from all their different fields, and they come in and they love music and they're going to perform it well. And I'm sure that's where that name came from. So we're doing three excerpts from the third act of Meistersingers. And the middle part, there's a prelude, and then the middle part is a dance of the apprentices. So it's a nice foil. It's a little bit lighter, and you've got, the idea of younger people dancing and singing. And then the entrance of the Meistersingers is this big, broad, pompous, beautiful music that many people will be familiar with.
So anything else new coming up on the horizon for the orchestra?
Well, this is a busy time of year for Aaron, I'll tell you, because this is the time of year, one, we have to do all of our, financial tax stuff, thanking people for their contributions. It's never too late to contribute, by the way. But also doing the Tennessee Arts Commission's grant, which this is your first time, and that's a really important part of what you do, and it's probably a learning experience for you.
Absolutely. It's, grant writing in general has been an important part of this job because in addition to the individual and business support that we receive, we are funded by a few different grants, including the Tennessee Arts Commission. And so going through the process of applying for that grant and their partnership support, focusing on even moving forward to next season, it's my first chance to really kind of look towards next year as well. And it's neat to be focused both on this season and the production of this concert while still looking towards the future of the symphony and what we can do to, continue the great tradition of performing really high quality pieces and presenting that to the Upper Cumberland here.
So this is actually the time of year when we are really fully engaged in planning next year. I'm talking to potential soloists. I've been meeting with the faculty members of the orchestra and talking about music that they would like to perform. And I talk informally with people in the community a lot of times, like, what's something we haven't done that maybe you want to hear? I try and make sure that we're performing a full menu of works, not just my favorite stuff. So that's really fun, and it's really fun to talk to soloists and to be planning those things. And it's like kind of like you would think with with television programming, you're moving slots around, and one thing changes, and that messes everything else up. And so it takes a lot of creative thinking to do that. So it's fun, but it's a taxing part of our year. It's a puzzle.
Yes, and I know that that's typically something that happens with figuring out soloists. But is this unusual for the community to have such an input on what the programming is for the
One
symphony?
of the things that I like and is it's dangerous if you take a poll with the audience and say, what do you want to hear? Well, one of the challenges is that people know what they know. They don't always know what they like. So, but when we are in informal situations like our symphony socials, or when at our receptions, when I talk to people and hear their responses to music or talk to them, that's when I really get information, because then I can say, find out, and even with the faculty too, to talk about, well, we haven't done a Brahms symphony in several years, and then I look back at the history of the orchestra and see what has been done before. Well, now that I've been here 10 years, it doesn't matter as much because I know everything that's been done in the last 10 years. But this is a really integral part of what we do, because programming is one of those things that people don't notice as much as if it's done well, if it's pleasing, but they notice if it gets tired or if they don't like it. And part of that is, like I said before, we have about 400 years worth of music from which to choose, and that's really thrilling. And I like to make sure that we're doing things by composers, people from Tennessee, modern composers, introducing things. There's all kinds of work out there. If everybody liked every piece that we performed at the symphony, I wouldn't be doing my job. It's fun to me to have people, even sometimes in the same reception, come up and have two totally opposite reactions to one piece of music, and that's okay. You don't have to like every piece that we do. I don't like every episode of even my favorite television shows on WCTE.
Yes,
except for Jacques Pepin. I love every episode of his show.
So what are some of the events that are leading up to this next concert? I know that you have the artist
We'll have
talk.
our Crossville preview luncheon, where the Wednesday prior to the concert, Dan and I go down to Crossville, and we have a group of patrons over there who enjoy coming out and getting a little bit of a preview.
Having lunch together.
Exactly. And, Dan gets a chance to talk about the music a little bit. They get to hear it. And we get to visit with them and get to know them a little bit better, which is something I really enjoy. And then also prior to the concert, Catherine Godis does a pre-concert lecture, which takes place in the Bryan Fine Arts Building, and you can come at 2:00 on the concert day and hear kind of a different take on the music. It's somebody else's perspective on it, gives you a little bit more background on what you're about to hear. Also a really neat thing, and especially this month, given kind of the focus of the relationship that we have with tech and with the music and art that can come out of this community, the Derryberry Art Gallery opens specifically for symphony patrons on Symphony Sundays at 1:00 in the afternoon. So even before the pre-concert lecture. And this month in particular, they're exhibiting work by the tech art faculty. So it's kind of really a great interplay again, really kind of emphasizing again the creativity and the quality of art that can come out of this community.
And what's the date of the concert, and how can people get tickets?
It's February 9th, and you can get tickets by calling our office, which the phone number is 931-525-2633. The February concert, it's colder. It's the middle of winter, and it tends to be the one where we have the most seats available. So we will have tickets available for folks if they want to give us
Although
a call.
I know there's a large contingent from Baxter.
We've already sold quite a few actually. Some of the earliest ticket sales we've
Alex's
had
friends are
this
coming
season.
out.
But we will have some seats available. So this is also when folks get sick, and so we have a really neat program where our season ticket holders, if they can attend, can call and release their tickets so that we can resell them. Which is a great opportunity. So a lot of times people hear us say we're sold out, and we are. We sell out every concert. However, when patrons release their seats, sometimes we do still have seats available for people. In fact, we usually do. So, if you've wanted a chance to hear the symphony, this is a great month to do it. And with Mozart and Wagner and, great music, it's really going to be a good time to do that. And then, of course, after the concert, we go to Mauricio's and have dinner. They're very kind to open up on Sundays just for our patrons and kind of continue the conversation about the concert that you've just heard.
Yeah, and the fireplace will be roaring there.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, another congratulations to Alex, but I'd like to thank you, Aaron and Dan, for joining me again here. And hopefully we'll see you at the February 9th concert. And thanks for tuning in for BSO Backstage, a concert preview. We'll see you next time.